Will an AI bot decide whether or not you get your next offer? In today's video, we're going to discuss that. Let's go. Now it is clear. People have said loud and clear, I do not want to interview with AI, I want to interview with a person. But corporations have responded, and the response? We don't care. So recently I was doing my standard research in the industry as someone who is involved in recruitment, and I came across this article and I found it to be so interesting. It basically talks about AI and the role AI is playing in the recruitment process, and it talks about the momentum. The reality is AI has infiltrated every single part of the recruitment process, from the tools candidates use to the tools companies use and everywhere in between, and it's only gaining momentum. Now I've been in recruitment for 15 years, and candidates always want a few things. They want clarity in communication, they want a fast process, and they want to connect with people so they can learn about the organization. So anything that deviates from that, I have seen candidates do not like it. But having been in recruitment for so long, I have seen several things that are like completely the opposite of that. For example, one-way video interviews. The article touches on one-way video interviews, and I can tell you, I used to work for a Fortune 500 company in America, and we would often use those one-way interviews, and candidates hate them. They hated doing it. It felt impersonal. It felt like they were just a number. It's like, oh, it's not worth your time to actually speak with me. But as this article points out, they are rapidly becoming a big part of the interview process, and they're gaining momentum continually. Now, candidates and companies are pretty diametrically opposed on this issue. Candidates hate it because it's so impersonal and they feel like, I'm not even a person to you, I'm just a number. Companies love it though because of the volume. If you have a ton of open positions and you have a ton of candidates who want to apply to these roles, you can actually go through more candidates if you have the first step be a one-way video interview. You can get a lot of candidates to record videos. It is fast. But the reality is there are downsides to that. Besides candidate experience, there's actually shown to be some pretty significant issues with those one-way video interviews. I'll touch on the downsides a little bit later. Companies like HireVue, which is probably one of the most popular companies that do that, they're not alone. There's Spark Hire, there's Montage. I don't know if that company still exists, but we used it back in the day. But companies like HireVue would argue that candidates really benefit as well because of the fact that, one, you're going to get an opportunity because companies can interview more people, but also this interview step, you don't have to take time off of work, you don't have to go to your car and jump on a cell phone and do a quick phone interview. You can do this in the evening, on the weekend, on your own personal time. So you don't have to worry about it, hurting what you're doing at your job or sneaking away or using vacation days. It's a convenience, they would argue. And the reality is, whether you like this or whether you don't like it, these companies are growing. HireVue has over 1,000 clients and they're continuing to grow. More companies are continuing to incorporate video interviews into their hiring process, and now AI is starting to play a big role when it comes to the evaluation of these one-way recorded video interviews. And I have to say, having spoken with several candidates recently about this, candidates are not happy. The reality is the way companies are going to be using video interviews is changing. These one-way video interviews historically still needed to be viewed by a human, but companies like HireVue have spent the last decade working with AI to try to figure out how can we incorporate that in their model. And for people who do not like video interviews, bad news, that day is today. They now have AI that is able to screen these video interviews and elevate the candidates they feel are the best candidates. And AI is going to be looking at a variety of different things in these interviews. They're going to be looking at, one, job fit. As a candidate using words that match up with the job description that make them seem qualified. They can look at tone, they can look at confidence, they can look at a variety of things. And the reality is we are at a point where AI will actually be determining, do you move forward in the process? Record a one-way interview, and AI will pick from potentially hundreds of candidates and elevate just a handful they consider to be a best fit. Now, if you're a company, this sounds amazing. Okay, we got 200 candidates, we can interview them all, and AI will elevate the top 5 candidates, giving us the perfect candidate panel. That does sound amazing. It sounds incredibly efficient. Now, there's potentially a lot of problems here. What we've seen so far from AI is that it is typically screening out people of marginalized communities. It is screening out candidates who have any forms of neurodiversity, and it hasn't been shown to apply its criteria equitably across groups of people. That is a big issue. In fact, it's been proven that some of these models that have been trained on men's resumes have actually discriminated against women applicants when they apply. I mean, can you imagine that? You've got this model that is literally trained on men's resumes, and then as a woman who could be entirely qualified, you're getting screened out because the AI recognizes you as an inferior candidate because you're not a man, because that's how they trained the system. That is a massive problem. Now, the harsh reality of this is I don't think the technology is ready. The technology has not proven it's ready. It has not proven that it can apply this criteria in a non-discriminatory way, but companies are going to move forward. Companies are so bullish on this because they look at it as an amazing cost saving and efficiency. But is it good for candidates? I would argue it's not good for candidates. One, when you interview, you want to ask questions to the person interviewing you so you could determine, well, do I want to work here or not? The pathway companies are going down when they are using this, what they're saying to you as a candidate, increasingly, this is about us and not you. We want to know if you're a good fit for us, but early on, we're not going to allow you any chances to determine, well, are we a good fit for you? Because as a candidate, you want to be asking them questions. This completely removes your ability to do that on the front end. You just got to record yourself on a screen. It's incredibly one way. It's not about you. It's about the company. Now, there's actually ways to get around this. You don't have to go through traditional mediums and apply and get screened by AI. There are other ways. And I made a video right here talking about the big mistake candidates are making in 2025, and it involves how you get interviews. So if you want to avoid everything I just talked about, you should definitely go watch this video.